Good afternoon and welcome to the Problem of Being Awake. Today I'm going to teach you a methodology which explains why things with good intentions that are often incentivized don't work out in the way they are planned. And the reason is that the human nature, there will always be people looking to profit off it. So this is a story called the Cobra effect. And it's a great example of how these things go wrong. And I'll highlight an exact example on what's gone wrong in a specific industry now. But to tell the story, we know it happened. We don't know exactly what year it was, but at some point the British appointed Maharaja for Delhi realized they had a problem with cobras on the streets. So they came up with a solution. And that solution was that anyone who hunted down and killed a cobra received a bounty for that cobra. Now, after a very short period of time, there were more cobras on the streets, but people were bringing in cobras all the time for bounty. And it turned out that the good actors were going into the wild and killing cobras. But some people, and there was a group of them, realized there was profit to be made off this good intention. And they started breeding cobras for money. So there were lots of cobra farmers in Delhi who were breeding cobras so that they could kill them and get the bounty. And it became quite lucrative to them. So why would they want to give it up? So they turned a good intention on its head with their bad actions, trying to profit off it. And I have a saying that whenever a problem is trying to be solved, there will always be someone who is trying to extend that problem because they are profiting from it. That's pretty much true through human history. And I'll make a direct comparison. So in the end, the Maharaja found out about the farmers. He got rid of the bounty, and the farmers, having no use for the cobras, let them all go, and the cobra problem massively escalated in that area. Now, where that you can draw a guaranteed exact parallel is in the anti-racist movement that's been going on for the last 4 years, or 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's been going on before that, but is when Joe Biden called America systemically racist, and when Black Lives Matter destroyed so much property and did so much wrong, and turned out to be quite a fraudulent organization. People like Robin DiAngelo wrote the book that defines Western colonialism is white supremacy, and that all white people have white privilege, and that we should really look at history with white guilt and white fragility. She constantly talks about whiteness. And now there are academic courses that white people are only allowed to attend but not speak at, but every other minority is allowed to speak at. Something has normalized being racist towards white people as being the reason for racism, being the reason and the way to stop it. Ibram X. Kendi said the only way to stop past discrimination, is for present discrimination against the offenders. Doesn't work. Affirmative action got made illegal. DEI is far worse. And it does, and CRT combined with DEI does teach that white people are okay to be racist to. And that is all over academia now. There are courses that would not be allowed to be made or written or said if any other coloured skin was involved. Now, that's obsessively wrong and totally racist. Because if you're telling, white or Jewish or Asian students, they have to shut up because as a permanent state of affairs for now, minority voices, they say, haven't been heard enough. Therefore, they should be the only voices to be heard moving forward. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you want to grow a country or grow an economy or bring about social cohesion, because you're teaching white people to hate themselves for being white, and you're teaching other students that white people are the problem that really is beset the world. There is actually a course called Whiteness is the New Problem of Our Era, and it's disgusting. The syllabus of that is, it could not, if you put blackness in there, that would have been yanked from the person who wrote it before they even got to email it to their superiors to print it. But with whiteness, it's all okay, but it's not. And white people won't accept it now because wokeism took a massive hit with the Donald Trump election, and we're not going to take all this race baiting and the industry of DEI, of which Robin DiAngelo is a major part, charging she charges fantastic amounts of money to give workshops to make white people feel bad about themselves for what she calls unconscious racism or implicit racism. Neither are true. Unconscious racism is impossible because the idea of your unconscious is to bring your thoughts to your conscious mind for consideration. So if you are unconsciously racist, you'd constantly be thinking about racist things because your brain would be making you do that. Implicitly racist suggests that because your ancestors were racist, you're implicitly racist, and therefore you're a lower class citizen. This applies to black reparations. If you find a conservative black man who's made it in the US and you say, would you like reparations? And if so, would you be happy to take them from a struggling lower class white family? And the answer is almost universally no. I mean, Thomas Sowell, Vince Everett Ellison all talk about this, and they wouldn't accept reparations because they don't think it's fair. And if you're going to give it to the government to pay, well, who pays that debt? Every other citizen. So this anti-racist literature and the whole DEI system is going to crumble, but it's going to take some time. It's all over Europe. It's in schools and governments, and it's completely wrong and really maladjusted. I'll go into that in more detail in another segment on DEI and the language they use to raise our children. But the Cobra effect just shows that as long as there is an industry to be profited of which the anti-racist industry is probably worth about $2 billion, and the queer industry more like $100 billion, people don't want to lose their jobs. So what happens is, if there is no racism or no bigotry in your department, you have to create it to keep your job. Otherwise you don't have a job. And that's what's been happening. There's a great phrase, which is racism is in such shorter demand than such shorter demand than it is the request for supply. And that is true in Europe, that's true in the UK, and it's true in America. Racism is an internally held belief. Far fewer people hold that internally held belief than you're being told. But why? Because people are making £10,000 to £500,000 a day doing workshops teaching this crap. So make up your own mind about it. See how the Cobra metaphor fits across a whole load of woke ideology areas. And have a listen, have a think, see if you enjoy it. If you do, obviously give it a like, a subscribe, all that nice YouTubey stuff. It's good for me. But really, I just wanted to make that point because that metaphor mapped onto the anti-racist campaigns that are going on and various other things from wokeness. It really works where good intentions are first there, bad intentions will come along and start to profit off that problem. And it's happened throughout history. It's never not happened when a significant problem has been taken on by a governing body. And when it's incentivized, that's when people realize they can make money from it. So I'll leave it there.